Welcome. In this session, I'm going to start with the objective on neural control and coordination. We will see questions first from level 1. So here the first question from the level 1 is chemicals which are released at the synaptic junction are called. So let's see. So this is the synaptic knob of presynaptic neuron, and in connection to this is the postsynaptic neuron. So this is the postsynaptic neuron, and here these two neurons are separated by a small gap. So that is called a synaptic cleft. It's called synaptic cleft. And this presynaptic neuron, so the end is the synaptic knob, and that synaptic knob consists of synaptic vesicles, and so these are synaptic vesicles, and these synaptic vesicles contain neurotransmitters. So inside filled with neurotransmitters. So one common neurotransmitter is acetylcholine. So acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter, right? And for this, there will be receptors on the postsynaptic neuron. Okay, so these are receptors for the neurotransmitter acetylcholine. So these is a receptors for neurotransmitters. So each neurotransmitter will have its own receptor. So in this case, as I have taken acetylcholine, so these receptors are for acetylcholine. Okay, and now these three, the presynaptic, postsynaptic, and the synaptic cleft together will result. Together we call as a synapse, or you can also call it synaptic junction. And once the impulse reaches this the synaptic knob, here it results in the opening of calcium channels. So here there will be, okay, so calcium channels. So entry of these calcium channels into the synaptic knob, and then they will bind with these synaptic vesicles, and the synaptic vesicle finally comes to the membrane here, and then it fuses with the membrane, and then okay, it breaks open, and that results in release of neurotransmitter into the synaptic cleft, and these neurotransmitters will bind. So these neurotransmitters will bind to the receptors on postsynaptic neuron, and this results in the opening of right, so these channels, and that results in pumping, results in the movement of sodium ions into it, and this results in depolarization. Okay, so here this is what we call a chemical synapse. So this is a chemical synapse, and the chemical synapses, all chemical synapses will have neurotransmitters. So here the answer for this question, chemicals which are released at synaptic junction are called, right, neurotransmitters. That is B option. So they are not hormones, not the cerebrospinal fluid, or it's a lymph. So answer is B, the right answer. So the next question, the potential difference across resting membrane is negatively charged. So this is due to differential distribution of following ions. So here let's see, we know the axon. So this is axolemma. So this is axolemma, and this is axoplasm. Right, and inside the axoplasm, here we have right, high concentration of potassium ions, then low concentration of sodium ions, and along with that immovable negatively charged, there are negatively charged proteins inside the axoplasm. And coming to ECF, so in ECF, so there are a more number of sodium ions, that is high concentration of sodium ions than low concentration of potassium ions. So because of this, the membrane have positive charge on outside and negative charge inside. Right, and here on the membrane there are, okay, sodium potassium pumps. So this is a sodium potassium pump. So this sodium potassium pump, okay, it transports, right, three sodium ions to outside. So it transports three sodium ions to outside, and for that it transports two potassium ions into the axoplasm. Right, so because of this it will have a positive charge on outer side of the membrane and negative charge on inner side of the membrane, and right, so this is at resting. So when no impulse is conducted by the nerve, then it is said to be in resting potential, said to be in resting potential. So the potential difference across the resting membrane, okay, is that due to differential distribution of right, the sodium and potassium ions. So sodium ions and potassium ions are responsible. So here the answer for this is A, that is sodium and potassium ions. Okay, right, not magnesium or CO3 plus or chloride ions. So these are not the options. So only A option, sodium and potassium ions, responsible for this potential difference. The next question, resting membrane potential is maintained by, let's see, the axon. So this is axolemma and axoplasm. Of course, the membrane of neuron have different types of pumps and channels. So here pumps will transport molecules against concentration gradient by using energy. Hence, this is meant for active transport, and the channels will transport molecules uh, down the gradient. In this case, this is passive transport. So it helps in movement of molecules from high concentration to low concentration, whereas pumps will help in transporting molecules from low concentration to high concentration, movement of molecules from low to high concentration. So here on the membrane of neuron we find these pumps, so especially the sodium potassium pumps. So this is sodium potassium. So this sodium potassium pump will transport the molecules from low concentration to higher concentration. Okay, and along that we will also, I mean, the membrane will also have some voltage gated channels. So there will be voltage gated channels. Says these are sodium voltage gated channels. And then we'll also have another type of channels. They are potassium voltage gated channels. We'll have, okay, so these are potassium voltage gated channels. And also we will have some other type of channels called leakage channels, and so these leakage channels will be for sodium and will be also for potassium, but the number of these potassium channels are more in, okay, so more in number when compared with the sodium. Now this potassium uh, and sodium pump is responsible for transporting, right, three sodium ions, transporting the three sodium ions into ECF. So here already there is more concentration of sodium ions, right, and of course along with that we also have potassium ions. The concentration of potassium ions are less, and we know inside there is more concentration of potassium ions and less concentration of sodium ions. So here this pump will transport, okay, two potassium ions into it. So it transports two potassium ions into the exoplasm. So with this it will be able to maintain the resting membrane potential, so that will have the positive charge on outside and negative charge on inside. So you can see here, so that is mainly the sodium potassium pump is the one that is responsible. So that's an ion pump. So this is a ion pump, is mainly responsible, okay, to right, maintain the resting membrane potential. So that is around minus 70 millivolts. Okay, so hence the answer, then hormones are not responsible for maintaining uh, the resting membrane potential, nor neurotransmitters. So the answer is ion pumps. So the right answer is ion pumps. So the next question, which of the following is not involved in a knee jerk reflex? So let's see, this knee jerk reflex is an example for spinal reflex. It's an example for spinal reflex. So let's see, so the transfer section of the spinal cord, and we will see in this the gray matter will be in the shape of H letter. So this is, okay, gray matter, and this is white matter, and the gray matter will appear in H letter. Okay, so This side will be the dorsal side, and opposite is posterior side. And we will see here, entering through the dorsal side, we have is a afferent pathway. So this is afferent pathway, or afferent neuron. So this is a sensory neuron, and this carries impulses from the muscle spindle, from muscle spindle. Okay, so the connections, and then okay, coming out from the posterior side we have is the efferent neuron. So efferent neuron is also called motor neuron, and these two are connected by an interneuron. So you can see here there is an interneuron. So this is interneuron, and here you will find a central canal in which there will be flow of cerebrospinal fluid. So this is central canal. Okay, and this efferent neuron is connected to the motor end plate in the effector organ. So is connected to motor end plate in effector organ, in effector organ. So here the transmission of the impulse so will be received from the muscle spindle, and it passes okay in this way, and then this is the direction of flow of nerve impulse. And you can see in this case, okay, so this is the muscle spindle, okay, which receives the stimulus, and then the sensory neuron carries that to the spinal cord, and through the interneuron, okay, the efferent neuron will carry this impulse to the motor end plate in effector organ. So in this case you can see the presence of okay muscle spindle, then there is a motor neuron included, and even the interneuron is included. So what is not included in is the brain. So answer which is not involved in the knee jerk reflex is brain. So option C is right. The next question, an area in the brain which is associated with the strong emotions, associated with the strong emotion. So this is the limbic system. So this limbic system, it consists of amygdala, then hippocampus regions, along with that hypothalamus. Along with that hypothalamus will play an important role in okay emotions like excitement, uh, pleasure, rage, fear, okay, and these are also involved in sexual behavior, involved in sexual behavior of a person, right, and even involved in motivation plus emotions. So here coming to the cerebral cortex. So what is the function of this cerebral cortex? So the cerebral cortex is the main seat of intelligence. So it is a seat of intelligence. Then so it helps in playing a role in attention, and then perception, and then even memory is also a part of the cerebral cortex. Then language is also part of the cerebral cortex. Then there is motor cortex, so which receives, or which sends the motor impulses. Then and another one called sensory cortex, this receives sensory informations. And then there is a visual cortex which receives uh, the visual information from the eye and occipital located in occipital lobe. So these are some functions of cerebral cortex. And coming to cerebellum. So here, cerebellum mainly it's involved in coordinating the movements. So it helps in coordination of movements, involved in coordination of movements. Then precision, so taking place right very accurately, and even timing. Okay, any damage to this cerebellum can actually result in disorder. So it can result in disorders in equilibrium, then posture, and then even motor learning, and so and so, etc. So will be associated if any problem happens to this damage to the cerebellum. Then coming to medulla oblongata. So this medulla oblongata, it has respiratory center. So most of the involuntary functions associated with it. So it has a respiratory center. Then it helps in vasodilation, that is relaxation of the blood vessels, thereby increasing the diameter of the blood vessels. And then reflexes like vomiting, vomiting, and then even sneezing, coughing, right, and swallowing, etc., are all concerned with this medulla oblongata. Right, so you can see the cerebral cortex, cerebellum, and medulla, none of them are involved in the emotions except the limbic system. So here in this picture, you can see here, the limbic system that consists of amygdala. So this portion is the amygdala portion here, and this is hippocampus. So this is the hippocampus region. This limbic system is present on either side of thalamus. So located on either side of thalamus. Located on either side of thalamus. Okay, so you can see, and even you can see other parts of the brain. So the cerebrum, and then this whole portion is the corpus callosum that connects the two cerebral hemispheres. And then you can see this portion is pons here, and this is the region, the medulla oblongata, that continues as spinal cord, and this is cerebellum, and so. Okay, so the answer for this question, area in which is the area of the brain which is associated with strong emotions, is limbic system. So option C is right. The next question, which human eyeball consists of three layers and it encloses what? So he's asking, right, the human eyeball consists or encloses what the different structures. So you can see that the wall of the eye, it has three layers. You can see here these sclera, and then the middle one choroid, and the innermost layer is the retina. And you can see the sclera on the anterior side. Okay, so only to this portion. So okay, so from this point to, okay, so this point is called cornea, the remaining is all sclera. Now here the whole eye is divided into two chambers uh, with in between with the lens. So here the portion in front of the lens we have is aqueous chamber that is filled with fluid called aqueous humor, and behind the lens we have a vitreous chamber that is filled with vitreous humor. Okay, so here the whole eyeball will consist of aqueous humor, vitreous humor, and okay, so a lens here which is present in between these two chambers. So coming to these options, iris, I mean lens, iris, and optic nerve. So optic nerve will come out from the eye. You can see here the arteries and veins, how they get distributed and supplied to whole parts of the eye. And you can see a small region which is called macula lutea, so whose central portion consists of fovea centralis with high concentration of cones. Then the second option, so lens, yes, within the eye, so it encloses, then eyeball, then aqueous humor also within the eyeball, then vitreous humor is also within the eyeball. Okay, so this option uh, seems to be the right answer. So next we'll see even other options: cornea, lens, and iris. Okay, so lens and iris are also present in the eyeball itself. Okay, whereas cornea is the outer layer. Okay, so hence the last option also we will not be considering. Only the eyeball it encloses, means present inside, will be the lens, aqueous humor, and vitreous humor. So the right option is right, B option. Next question: the part of internal ear responsible for hearing is, so let's see, the internal ear is composed of mainly two parts. One is cochlea and another one the vestibular apparatus. So this vestibular apparatus, it semicircular canals consists of semicircular canals and vestibule. And this vestibule, it consists of two parts, that is saccule and utricle. Okay, right. And here in the picture the three semicircular canals you can see here, posterior, so this is the posterior canal, this is a superior canal, and this is a lateral semicircular canals here. So this portion is the vestibule, so you can see here this vestibule. Okay, and you can even see round window which will be present at the base of cochlea, right? And if you take a transverse section here, then we will see three channels inside it. So one will be the scala vestibuli, and then there is another one called scala media, and one more, the scala tympani. So this is scala tympani, and this is scala media. And located here on this scala media here is organ of Corti. So this organ of Corti is the one that is mainly responsible for receiving auditory information. So it, okay, receives sound vibrations and help in hearing, so which is a part of cochlea. So the part of internal ear responsible for hearing is cochlea. So the answer is cochlea, that is option A. Then coming to what about these semicircular canals? So the function of semicircular canal is to maintain posture of body and also equilibrium of maintain equilibrium and posture of the body. Then coming to the vestibular parts like utricle and saccule. So this utricle is mainly responsible for receiving information on horizontal movement. So whenever we go in motorcycle or in a bus or car, so that horizontal movement is perceived by this utricle, and whereas in the case of saccule, it perceives vertical movement. So when we move in a lift, so that information, or in a rocket, or so that information is received by this saccule. So here the utricle, saccule, or the semicircular canals, none of them are meant for hearing, okay, and only the cochlear part is meant for hearing. So option A will be the right answer. So next question, match the following. So column 1 lists the parts of human brain, and column 2 has the functions of those parts of the human brain. Okay, let's see the cerebrum. So here cerebrum, as we have seen in the previous questions, right? So cerebrum is a seat of intelligence. So it is seat of intelligence. Then coming to cerebellum. So cerebellum will help in maintaining body posture. So that is T. Then coming to hypothalamus, the hypothalamus will help in controlling the pituitary gland. So it controls the pituitary gland here. Then coming to the midbrain has centers for vision and hearing. So this is Q. So that is STPQ. So that is last option. So STPQ. So the last option, D option, is the right answer. Next question, the primary function of myelin sheath around a vertebrate axon. So here the primary function of myelin sheath. So here the myelin sheath is produced by squam cell. So let's see. Okay, so let's take the axon, and this axon is okay covered by squam cells. Okay, and the nucleus of these squam cells. So this is a squam cell, and this is the axon. Okay, and between the squam cells there is a portion of the axon that is exposed. So this is called node of Ranvier. So it's called node of Ranvier. Here squam cell may form myelin sheath or may not form. So the squam cell, right, may form myelin sheath. So if it forms myelin, then the neuron is called myelinated neuron. It's called myelinated neuron. And if the squam cell doesn't form myelin, so no myelin, then it's called unmyelinated neuron. It's called unmyelinated neuron. Okay, so here the information will be very fast in case of myelinated neuron. So impulse transmission is very fast. and in this case unmyelinated neuron, so the transmission impulse transmission is slow. Impulse transmission is slow. Okay, and even if you take a transfer section, so here, so how it looks like, so this will be the axon, and covering this you will find, so this is the squam cell, so how it seen wrapped all around, and here is the nucleus of the squam cell. So this is axon and this is the squam cell. Is right. Now here, in case of myelinated neuron, the action potentials will jump from one node of Ranvier to another node of Ranvier, and from here to another node of Ranvier. So here, okay, so this myelin sheath will actually act as an insulator and will also help in increase in the conduction of speed in the conduction of nerve impulse, right? So let's see the options here. Regulate sodium potassium pump, no. Then increase the size of action potential, no, there is nothing like increase in size, increase in the size of action potential. Then increase in the speed of conduction, yes, so it is increasing in the speed of conduction, and it by preventing the leakage of nerve impulses. Okay, then so the option C will be the right option here. So let's see the D option also, deactivate the release of neurotransmitter. So it has no role in deactivating the release of neurotransmitter. So correct option is increase the speed of conduction, and that by preventing the leakage of nerve impulses. So the next question, during the transmission of nerve impulse through a nerve fiber, the potential on the inner side of the plasma membrane has which type of electric charge? So let's see here. So this is the axon. We know the axolemma has a positive charge on its outside side and negative charge on its inner side. So he's asking on the inner side of the plasma membrane, right? So here the negative charge is present on inner side and the positive charge on outer side. So now when the nerve is not conducting any impulse, then it is said to be in resting potential. Okay, so in resting state, and it has a resting potential of minus 70 millivolts. Now when there is a, so there is an input of sodium goes from outside to inside, so there is, okay, sodium input. As a result, the charge gets right reversed. So you can see the charge gets in and charge, okay, comes out. So this we call it polarization. So polarization, and that will be around 50 volts. Okay. Next, immediately as it's in the input of the sodium ions is short-lived, it results in the movement of sodium ions out of the exoplasm, and that will result in the membrane to get back, okay, to the resting potential state. So here, because of the sodium ions move outside, so the charge again comes back to normal. So this we call it repolarization. It's called repolarization. Okay, so coming back to the same minus 70 millivolts. So you can see in the resting potential we have negative charge inside, and during depolarization, so it has become positive. Okay, so here the order, so this is first and this is second and this is the third one. So as he's asking, so the potential on inner side, the potential on inner side of the plasma membrane, so has which type of electric charge. So first, actually when it is not conducting any nerve impulse, it is negative. So first it is negative, yes, here it is negative, and then it has become positive inside, then positive, and then back again to negative, right? So hence the answer D option will be the right answer. So with this, I will end today's session. In tomorrow's session, we will see some more questions from uh, level 1.